He was enormous. Barbra Streisand spills everything in her autobiography. Barbra Streisand was born Barbara Jones Streisand on April 24, 1942 in Brooklyn, New York. With her roots in a working-class district, Streisand went on to become internationally renowned through the combination of exceptional singing talent, dramatic ability, and unrelenting drive. Growing up without her father, who died when she was only 15 months old, she had a self-sufficient and driven personality from an early age. Her mother, Diana, saw her daughter had musical talent, but frequently urged her to aim for a less flaky profession. Streisand was set on doing what she loved, though, and started playing in local talent competitions and small clubs throughout her teenage years. Streisand's professional career started in earnest in the early 1960s when she began performing on New York City's Greenwich Village nightclubs, wowing audiences with her voice and soulful delivery. Her break came in 1962 when she performed on The Tonight Show and The Ed Sullivan Show, mesmerizing television audiences with her powerful voice and emotional delivery. This exposure resulted in her Broadway debut in I Can Get It For You Wholesale 1962, with her Miss Marstein performance earning her both critical notices and a Tony Award nomination, a remarkable feat for a 20-year-old newcomer. Her own recording career boomed with the 1963 release of the Barbra Streisand album, which displayed her exemplary phrasing, broad vocal range, and theatrical flair. The album received 2 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, and she became the youngest artist in history to be honored as such. That was the start of one-of-a-kind musical career, which would see her release over 35 studio albums, sell over 150 million records globally, and be one of the best-selling female artists of all time. Her song interpretations like People, The Way We Were, and Evergreen became ageless classics that were well integrated into popular culture. Apart from her musical achievements, Streisand became a renowned actress recognized for her talent in getting into roles with naturalness and charm. Her first film appearance in Funny Girl, 1968, won her the Best Actress Academy Award, a rarity in which she is among the few actors to have won an Oscar for a first role. She went on to overwhelm the screen with standout roles in movies like Hello, Dolly, 1969, What's Up, Doc?, The Way We Were, 1973, and A Star is Born, 1976. Streisand also became the first female to write, produce, direct, and act in a major studio film with Yentl, 1983, a feat that paved the way for generations of women in the film business. Her successes have not been limited to music and movies only. Streisand has been a committed human rights activist, women's rights movement supporter, environmentalist, and defender of democratic principles. She has employed her wealth and celebrity to aid a variety of causes, forming the Streisand Foundation in 1986 to finance nonprofit groups committed to causes like voter education, civil liberties, and global climate change awareness. Her willingness to discuss political and social issues candidly has solidified her status not only as a great entertainer, but a devoted humanitarian. During her career, Streisand has won almost all the major awards in show business, such as 2 Academy Awards, 10 Grammy Awards, 5 Emmy Awards, a special Tony Award, a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award. These recognitions not only speak to her monumental talent, but also to her ability to constantly reinvent herself, but remain faithful to her art. She is among the rare entertainers to become EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, a testament to her talent and skill in various mediums. In 1980, Barbra Streisand accomplished yet another first in her remarkable career with the release of Guilty, the album which went on to become one of her biggest and lasting successes. This venture was particularly significant as it was a highly publicized collaboration with Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees, whose unique songwriting voice and vocal harmonies complemented Streisand's dynamic and expressive voice. The album consisted of a blend of rich ballads and lively pop singles, all seasoned with the sleek production and characteristic disco-era flash that Gibb was so famous for. It was received enthusiastically by both the public and the critics, eventually winning Streisand a Grammy Award and cementing her position as a 1980s pop music icon. The duet title single Guilty with Barry Gibb was a highlight single that peaked at number 3 on Billboard Hot 100 within the same year. Its steamy sound, catch choruses, and vocal interaction between Streisand and Gibb made it a radio classic and song that continues to be enjoyed by fans today. In 1991, Streisand gave a very introspective glance backward at her own career by issuing, just for the record, a colossal 4-disc anthology that was as much a retrospective piece as it was a treasure chest for her most diehard fans. Far from a basic greatest hits album, the collection featured live shows, alternate studio tracks, and an abundance of previously unheard material that covered a range of decades of her work. The compilation was also carefully thought out, bordering on an autobiography that provided listeners with an extensive and intimate description of her career development as an artist. It featured intimate scenes from her earliest days, electrifying performances from her classic concerts, and alternate takes that illustrated her perfectionistic bent toward music creation. To many listeners, Just for the Record was more than an album. It was a documentary gem that captured the complexity, diversity, and emotional truth of Streisand's music for all time. After taking an 8-year hiatus from acting, during which she focused primarily on her music, philanthropic work, and directing, Streisand returned to the big screen in 2004 with the comedy Meet the Fockers. In the film, she played Roz Fowler, a free-spirited, exuberantly open-minded sex therapist and mother opposite Dustin Hoffman, as her equally uninhibited husband. Her acting was universally acclaimed for warmth, humor, and impeccable comedic timing, and the enormous box office success of the film introduced her to a new generation of filmgoers. Streisand's performance as Roz was so popular that she repeated the role in Meet the Parents and Little Fockers, introducing her characteristic charm and wit to each of the sequels. These parts demonstrated a more lighthearted, more flighty side of her acting abilities, demonstrating that even after decades in show business, she was capable of surprising audiences. In 2012, Streisand continued to showcase her remarkable endurance and star quality by embarking upon the Barbra Live Tour, a string of big-name shows that cemented her place as one of the greatest live acts of all time. One of the most hyped performances of the tour was at Brooklyn, New York's Barclays Center, her native borough. The concert was a spectacular homecoming, and Streisand played an unforgettable 3-hour concert packed with her all-time hits, personal stories, and heartfelt tributes. The concert drew a star-studded crowd of VIPs, such as legendary director Woody Allen, award-winning actor Michael Douglas, fashion designer Donna Karan, and renowned designer Ralph Lauren, all of whom attended to experience the wonder of her live concert. For the fans, it was something more than a concert. It was a cultural phenomenon, a special chance to witness the artistry, grace, and pure singing genius of a woman who had been enchanting audiences for more than 5 decades. Barbra Streisand's own life has been as fascinating and complex as her highly decorated career, filled with 2 key marriages spanning extremely different periods of her life. She was first married to actor Elliot Gould, an up-and-coming Hollywood star, with a uniquely quirky charm and offbeat on-screen presence. The pair were wed on September 13, 1963, at the same time Streisand was beginning to find success as an actress and Gould was starting to make his mark on stage and screen. Their marriage was first perceived as a union of 2 up-and-coming, ambitious and talented young actors who appeared to have a profound mutual comprehension of the pressures and thrills of show business. Nevertheless, with their common interests notwithstanding, the pressures of their fast-rising careers and the pressures of living under the limelight took its toll on their relationship. After nearly 6 years together, they announced their separation on February 12, 1969, a decision that surprised many of their fans. The divorce was finalized on July 6, 1971, marking the end of a relationship that had been both professionally and personally significant for Streisand. From their union was born their sole offspring, Jason Gould, on December 29, 1966. Jason would go on to emulate his parents by entering the world of entertainment, following not only in acting and singing, but going on to co-star with his mother as her on-screen son in the 1991 film The Prince of Tides, a moving double act of fact and fiction where real-life family bonds were merged with dramatized storylines. Years later, Following decades of artistic success, Stryan fell in love once more, this time with actor James Brolin, a man lauded for his rough-around-the-edges good looks, authoritative presence, and consistent career on the big and small screen. They married on July 1st, 1998, in a quiet but widely publicized ceremony that attracted media focus across the globe, not only due to Stryan's long-standing fame, but also because the couple appeared to project an adult and stable type of romance. Whereas her initial marriage had occurred in a time when Stryan was still an emerging legend, this relationship happened at a time when she was an established legend herself, giving her a divergent view of partnership and the mix of life and work. They have no children of their own, however, and their combined family is large and tight-knit. Brolin brought 3 grown children from prior marriages into the relationship in the form of his 2 sons from his first marriage, including Josh Brolin, who has also become a well-respected, award-winning actor in his own right, and a daughter from his second. Streisand has come to accept being a stepmother, developing strong relationships with Brolin's children, and enjoying a supportive relationship with her husband that has lasted for over 20 years. Theirs is a marriage consistently referred to as warm, nurturing, and full of humor, a true measure of attaining long-term companionship later in life. In her expansively personal and revealingly frank memoir, a book that is short on none of the details of her years in the public eye, Barbra Streisand gives a surprisingly open and vividly recallable description to her reactions to actor Robert Redford, a professional one whom she admired and by the looks of it viewed with a sort of Iraq fascination. With characteristic candor, Stryan remembers the day she really looked at him, no longer as the all-American golden boy of Hollywood legend, but as a presence, a force that filled the room in a way that extended beyond physical presence. He was huge, she says, the capital letters literally jumping from the page. This was not a remark on height or physique, but on a larger-than-life presence, an electricity that poured from him like a beam of light. She sets the moment almost on film, the jagged angle of his jawline, the sun-baked tint of his skin, and the unmistakable stability in his eyes that could change from flirtatious charm to unflinching purpose in the blink of an eye. Stryan concedes that she knew of Redford for years prior to their ever laying eyes on each other. Like the rest of America, she had seen him rise to the top of film stardom with such films as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and The Way We Were a film they famously starred together, union which she admits first made her nervous. I'd heard all the stories she describes, stories of Redford's reserved nature, his refusal to play Hollywood games, his love of privacy over publicity.